Okay, it's rap pack to my pulse flat. We keep it real, no false rap. I got 4 cars and they all black. Got 4 bras and they all that. We call that ballin'. Doing this is my calling. Flow is so appalling. My phone off and she calling. I'm like, yeah.
What's going on, Internet, and welcome back to Nth-Level Entertainment, the most awesome series, comic book, and movie-related YouTube channel in South Africa. I am your host, Z the Entertainer, and today we're reviewing episode 1 of Black Lightning, the CW's newest addition to their DC comic book related TV shows. So this one, again, is a very interesting addition to the fold. It basically it's actually following suit in the new movement in the comic book industry that seems to be happening with shows like Luke Cage on Netflix, the upcoming MCU movie Black Panther, and now we have Black Lightning. African American led superhero properties, basically. So this latest one is basically the DC Comics character Black Lightning, aka Jefferson Pierce. So the episode synopsis goes as follows. After his older daughter Anissa is arrested for protesting, former superhero Jefferson Pierce is pulled over for a crime he did not commit. The last straw comes when his youngest daughter Jennifer gets in trouble at a club owned by the 100, and he is forced to use his powers to rescue her. Gambi, his former mentor and friend, urges him to become Black Lightning once again, but Jefferson refuses to break the promise he made to his ex-wife Lynn to give up heroics. A 100 gangbanger, Will, and his friends abduct Jennifer and Anissa from school despite an agreement between Jefferson and the gang, and Lynn frees him from his promise. With Gambi's help, he saves the girls but is unable to find Will's boss, Lala. After being brought to the head of the 100, Tobias Whale, by his 2 underlings, Lala is instructed to kill Black Lightning, as Anissa's trauma activates her own powers, causing her to break a sink in half. Now, I just got done watching this basically, and it's not at all what I was expecting. You know, I was expecting some sort of topical kind of imagery and story as far as it being a black superhero and everything, but nothing quite so accurate and gritty and down to earth. You know, because basically we see Jefferson Pierce playing the role of a high school principal, right, who's now given up being a superhero, and basically Black Lightning is something that he deemed to be in his past. And now we see him actually suffer the trials of actually being a black person in America, in the inner city. I mean, we see him talking to the students, motivating them, telling them that, the future is theirs, that their lives are theirs, and they have to do what they can to be successful. We see the reverence and respect that he has as a principal, basically being a hero without the powers, and then suffering the ills of racism and racial profiling from cops who are constantly stopping him. I mean, in one of the incidents, he actually says to the police officer, "This is the 3rd time this month." And his daughters are obviously protesting the act and being very, obnoxious about it, rightfully so. But him being the parent and trying to keep the peace instructs them to stop, wilding out and everything, while he just goes through the motion and actually challenges the officer to tell him that, he didn't even tell him what the situation was about. He simply, roughed him up and put him on his car and then left when he realized that this was not the suspect he was looking for. And then this, of course, enrages him and causes him to almost lose it and fry that officer. So it's a very touching thing. It's very much like how Luke Cage was very black conscious in how it was actually portrayed. I mean, we had like very classic hip hop music playing in the beginning. Every episode was named after a gangster hip hop song, right, from one of his albums. So Black Lightning is much in the same vein in that it's actually bringing to the forefront the real issues that society faces with regards to race, now that it's a black superhero, but it doesn't beat you over the head with it. So we also see some glimpses of what Black Lightning used to look like before he gave up his life as a superhero through security footage and everything. And I have to say that the costume that he's wearing in those footage, in that footage from the past, actually looks better than the one he ends up wearing at the end of the episode, because we see a costume that like sort of resembles the Lightning Saga storyline that he had in the comics, which is very comic book accurate compared to what he wears in the end. It looks very techno and bulky, and it's got neon lights that are just, I don't know, it's just too bright and busy for my liking. It's not as subtle and understating as the one that we saw in the footage of his former life. So Black Lightning is one of those characters that I don't know as much about as I do as the mainstream heroes, like Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman. But thanks to this show and how well it was actually done, and the awesome casting as well, I'm not sure who the lead actor is that actually plays Black Lightning. He's someone I've seen quite a few times before in a lot of movies. I've just never paid that much attention to him, but he plays the role to perfection. He actually brings about the emotions that you would expect from the character himself in the situations that he finds himself in. And he fits the look as well of Jefferson Pierce right from the comics, in the way he carries himself, in the way that he carries through the martial arts choreography that he was made to do in the movie. I was very impressed with that as well. And the special effects on his lightning powers as well were also very well portrayed. So I'm actually looking forward to seeing more from this show. This first episode, by the way, was also called The Resurrection, aptly named because he gave it up and he came back with sufficient motivation. Um, and I also like how they played the relationship between him and his ex-wife. You could see that their parting wasn't something that either of them actually wanted. They felt forced to do that because you could still see that there was attraction between the two of them. They still like each other. They flirt every now and then, but they're accepting of the fact that they're not together. I like how he is such a father figure as well as an educator, in how he has to keep reprimanding and disciplining his daughters and trying to keep them safe from the ills of the real world. And yeah, man, it's a very inspiring story, the way that it was portrayed. It's another one of those triumph over the human spirit things, but not quite so easily portrayed as you would see in other things. Like it wasn't like a fairy tale ending kind of thing. And we also get to see hints at the end of the episode of his children actually having inherited some sort of meta-human abilities through, the lineage of their father as well. When one of the daughters actually breaks a sink at the very end of the episode, it's actually quite nice that they showcase that at the very beginning. It's a risk as far as the show being about Black Lightning specifically, in that it might be taking away attention from the title character, because that's kind of like how Arrow suffered its decline in seasons 2 and 3 when the team started to expand, when there was the Black Canary, and there was Roy Harper who became Arsenal eventually. Sorry, 3 and 4. Sorry about that. Because now attention was taken away from Oliver Queen himself and expanded to all these other characters, which therefore made the show a little bit more campy by default, because we couldn't be as intimate and gritty as we were before, because we were exploring Oliver and his transition from being a rich kid playboy to being this hard-ass superhero from the 5 years that he spent on and off the island becoming the Green Arrow. But nonetheless, maybe the showrunners will surprise us. This was a very powerful first episode. Um, you know, Not only was there awesome action that we actually saw, but the story was compelling. You actually felt the hero's motivation to get back into crime. It's the same as how when you hear about something bad happening because of crime to someone close to you, and you have these inner feelings of rage, you kind of want to be a vigilante of sorts because crime is such an annoyance. So that's actually conveyed very well through this show, through the eyes of Jefferson Pierce, as we watch him express his disdain over what's going on, ultimately being motivated to take action and strike back at crime. So this is one that I'm going to be watching and continuing to review. And yeah, I really did enjoy it. If I were to give it a rating, honestly, some might think this is me pulling the race card, but honestly, it was really well written, very well acted, well shot as well. Action sequences were fantastic. I give it 5 lightning bolts out of 5. I don't know what else to say. It was really a great episode, and I look forward to seeing more from them. So that's it from me, guys. Let me know what you thought of the episode if you've watched it in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, click on the thumbs up icon to leave us a like. If you'd like to see more from Nth-Level Entertainment, click subscribe, and be sure to click on the bell icon to be notified every time I drop new content on the channel. And as usual, people, I've been Z the Entertainer. Thank you for joining me. Stay awesome, take care of each other, to infinity and beyond.
Hey guys, thanks a lot. If you want to see some more from us, click here or click here.